Hey guys, this is Alex Ungku and this is my juicy mixtape. Let's go.
So firstly, thank you for being here.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
Excited, and we've been listening to your mixtape and also your new song, and I love it. Truly, when I listened to it, once you agreed to come on the show, I was like looking through your stuff and I played it in the car and I was like, add to my playlist immediately.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, the latest single, I'll probably talk about it later, towards the end. That's like, wrote it a long time ago.
Okay.
Wrote it in 2018. So,
oh my gosh.
So I'll get to that later.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's like the whole thing coming full circle.
Full circle
with that.
2018, that lots of different feelings back then to now, right?
Oh yeah, definitely a lot. So I'm just glad it's out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So my first question is, have you ever made a mixtape for someone?
I've never made a mixtape for someone, but you know, in the Spotify era, everyone does their own playlist. Yeah. So I have a couple that I used to do in the past, and but I haven't done any in a long time.
Okay, so if you were to make a mixtape for someone now, who would it be?
Probably, well, there's no one special at the moment, but like probably my bandmates, because like a lot of my bandmates now are kind of like they're quite new people that I'm playing with, so probably share with them my inspirations, right?
That's so
just get them to like get to know the whole music, what I'm into, and where I would like to progress moving forward as well. So I would like to explore different sounds moving forward.
Nice.
Yeah.
So your mixtape is called Sweet Juicy Jams.
Sweet Juicy Jams.
I love that. So what constitutes a sweet juicy jam?
I was actually worried about the name.
I loved it.
Because I was like, I don't want like the name to be lame, but at the same time, and I think it's quite basic. But Sweet Juicy Jams, basically, I think it's something that's not boring. Has a bit of attitude, some diversity, a bit of like, and just different genres.
Yeah.
Because like that's how I approach my music as well. It's a bit of roja all over the place.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah.
And most people's whose playlist is like single genre.
Correct, right? So everyone listens to. Right now, there's just so much content going around.
Yeah.
Like especially in music, I think Spotify there's like 40 to 50,000 songs uploaded daily.
Oh my god.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I heard that somewhere, and we can fact check that. But like,
I wouldn't even need to fact check it. I believe you because it sounds very.
I'm selling it well, yeah. But like, but yeah. So there's just so much music coming out, you know, and it's very easy to. Especially with the algorithms, right? Everything gets picked up on playlists, on editorial playlists, so it's very easy to like just consume different genres like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's also really nice. I feel like it's great because probably back in the day it'd be like, I'm a hip hop fan.
I feel like kids these days are kind of spoiled because like back in the day, right? Like now people share them whatever they're into on Instagram story. I remember back in the days when on Facebook you would share a YouTube video
link
on your wall.
Yeah.
Right? And that's like, this is
what I'm listening to.
I found this, you know, and you kind of take pride in like what you share. Yeah. So it's like kids these days, like, you know, everything is just
Instagram
within
music.
Yeah, it's just within their fingertips, and like everything's so easy. So it's like, it's kind of. I think people grew up in the 90s, you know, we kind of experience all these different stages, right? It's quite nice to see the progression.
Or even if like, I remember I had a phone that I didn't know how to get music on it, so I'd like record the song playing from the laptop onto the phone and then put it as your ringtone.
Oh my god, yeah. And now we have Shazam, like last time, sometimes like you hear a song and then you might not hear it again for 3 years.
Yeah.
Until you randomly hear it and then it's like, that's the one.
Exactly. Even though we had Google, it was still like, you'd be like, beep boop beep, like, I love you, whatever, like the few sounds and notes you could figure out.
Exactly.
And then you'd find every other song except the one you were looking for.
Yeah, there you go.
So, you know, we've all been waiting for the past 2 years for the moment where we can perform if you're a musician or just see live music. No, please help yourself. And it can truly make a comeback, and you know, now we're here. How did it feel playing Sunny Days Festival?
Oh, Sunny Days was amazing because I have been playing a couple of shows this year, but it's mostly acoustic. And as much as I like to perform acoustic songs, because like I don't mind it, but I take a lot of pride in, you know, the whole songwriting process. I love going to the studio, collaborating with different producers and creatives, right? Because I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of talented people like MFMF, Afaro, who's also my bassist, and then Irfan Ice Sky, who produced my recent single.
Nice.
So there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like when we release music, people just see the song.
Yeah.
Some songs sometimes take a long time. Some songs, like the process is super quick, you know. But either way, it's a lot of work. So it's like I want to perform in that format, you know. So Sunny Days was kind of like my first time playing the songs in that format in a long time. Yeah. Ironically, the last show that I played to play my full electronic set was Rio.
Oh yeah.
And it was in Sentul Depot as well. So it's just like, this is familiar.
Full circle.
Yeah, but it was really nice. Like it was a really
Energy.
Yeah, it was a really well organized festival. Like, and people just wanna be out and about now, you know. And people just wanna see like live music. And there's so many musicians out there. I think it's just a matter of giving them the opportunity to and the platform to just share their stuff, you know, and just get new audiences. I think a lot of young Malaysians, especially, I think they're very open to support local music.
Yeah.
More so than people like in my age gap, you know, in my
How old
age
are
group.
you?
I'm 31.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not young, so it's like
you're not that old.
okay lah, you know, back starting to hurt already. But yeah, so it's like it's really nice to see, especially when I perform. I notice a lot like the young Gen Zs, right? They're the ones that approach you after the show, and it's really nice, especially if they went through all the trouble to see you live. Sometimes they'll tell you on social media and all that, and then you see them, so it's like, oh, okay, thank you, you know, So that's nice. That is I really like the interaction with the listeners.
Yeah, and I think it was refreshing to see both Sunny Days and Good Vibes have a more heavily local artist like lineup. Because in the past, Good Vibes was so much of it was international acts.
Correct.
This time there are some international acts, but it's more of the local music scene. I thought that was really
and I hope
nice.
I hope Malaysians actually, you know, embrace.
They come, yeah,
because like, you know, like I think a lot of people like, oh, why was there not enough international acts? You know, at the same time, live music is coming back, so it's gonna take time for like organizers to bring back an event of that scale. So that's why it's called Good Vibes Weekender, not Good Vibes Festival. Yeah. You know, and for me, I think for a lot of musicians, Good Vibes is always like that one kind of like yearly pilgrimage, right? That you go to every single year, and I've been to so many in the past. And I was supposed to play in 2020. Yeah, so actually 2020 the lineup is correct.
I remember that.
Yeah, so 2020 was actually almost the same lineup. It's very much the same actually.
Pink Sweats.
No, Migos.
Peachskins as well, right?
Sorry?
Was Peachskins as well
I think
there?
Peachskins not yet. I can't remember the full lineup.
I can't remember either.
Wait, but you know about it.
I knew, I mean, I love Good Vibes.
Correct, yeah. So 2020 there was like Klyros was performing and all that, but then that didn't happen. And when COVID hit, and for me 2019 I spent time, you know, just releasing 3 to 4 singles in the space of a year.
Wow.
And the idea was like eventually to get booked for shows.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, finally got Good Vibes, which was like a dream.
booking.
Yeah, it was my dream come true, my dream festival. And then suddenly COVID hit. So that really like, it kind of broke me. I was just like, oh my God, like finally got like the gig that I always wanted, right? And then suddenly COVID came in the way, and then life just pretty much went on hold for like 2 years, at least music wise.
Yeah.
And like I didn't think I would get the opportunity again, and I'm just blessed to be given the opportunity, you know. And the fact I'm playing back-to-back festivals. Yeah, that's like, you know, I just wanna, I do my work in the studio, I just want to be given a platform to play live, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I bet. Like,
and also it's in Summer Lagoon, so
FYI, have to go all the way to Genting.
FYI, I grew up in Subang.
Oh, okay.
For 15 years, I went to USJ4. So shout out USJ4. I'm a foreign, and it's kind of like a homecoming almost, you know. Yeah. So I can't wait to play.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. Yeah, for sure.
You better come.
I'll be there.
All right.
So you spoke about how Frank Ocean's Channel Orange was a hugely influential album for you as an artist.
Oh yes.
It's a favorite album of mine too, but how do you draw inspiration for someone like Frank Ocean, who is so elusive? Like, you know, there's few interviews of him and so few performances, and it's a dream of mine to see Frank, but I'm like, when are you gonna perform?
He doesn't even like, I don't think he has social media.
he's
doesn't,
just
right?
like hiding somewhere in a cave.
So I think that's the whole part of his allure, his charm as an artist is very elusive. You know, he's very mysterious, and it kind of translates into his music as well.
Yeah.
And like Channel Orange, oh my god, something just came out to the top of my head. A song that I should have included in there, but I didn't.
Which song?
But I'll get to that in a bit. But Channel Orange I remembered. I'm just gonna digress a bit because I think in the playlist I added 2 rock songs at the start. So a lot of people think I was just like R&B guy, whatever. No, I actually started off in a band. Yeah, when my first band we were playing like classic rock, indie rock. I mean, my guitarist at the time, he loved Led Zeppelin, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, The Libertines. So he really liked a lot of those hard stuff. So he kind of like taught me to like listen to those kind of music. But I like the indie stuff, you know, the Arctic Monkeys and all that. So, and Strokes, which is the 2 songs I added in my playlist. So those were kind of stuff that I was playing in high school, you know, and it didn't necessarily fit my voice. And at that point in time, I didn't think too much about it. You know, you're in high school, you know, a lot of people start playing music in high school. So I was playing that band for like 2 to 3 years. And that was kind of like, oh, I really like making this kind of music. And then I went to study in Melbourne. And then I had trouble to just find a band to play with, you know. So then I started picking up the guitar. I was going through the whole acoustic phase, so I was just playing alone. And then that's when I was like, oh, I can't play like Arctic Monkeys or the Strokes, you know, acoustically. I had to somewhat change my style. Then I went to R&B, you know, something that's a bit more soulful.
Yeah.
And then when I played more, and I played so many like open mics in uni in Melbourne, and like I even went to had bar gigs. Sometimes I played to an audience of 2, you know. But that was my training ground back then. And then it was really fun. But that's why I started to like change, and that's why you see in the playlist as well. It started off with like rock, then eventually went to like more R&B, right? And then I heard Channel Orange towards the end of my uni days.
2012, right? Channel Orange?
I think so. Oh my god, is it 2012?
I
feel really old.
I know that's 10 years ago.
Can't be 10 years ago.
No, but I kind of think it is.
Oh my lord. Oh my god. Oh man, time flies.
Because I remember being in high school when the Thinking About You music video came out.
Yes, so Thinking About You came out first. It took him a while to produce Channel Orange, and then when he put it out, you know, I didn't think too much about it. I remember listening to it right away because that's when Spotify was already available. And then I was just blown away. I was like, oh my god, I didn't think you could make music like that. There was probably music like that around, but not in R&B, something a bit more abstract. But I wasn't really consuming it. And then, you know, you kind of opened the gateway to like, influence how R&B is today.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like R&B back in the day used to sound very like type beat, Neo, right? It's almost like a jingle sort of beat.
And sometimes it has like a narrative.
Correct, and with strong melodies,
Yeah.
strong hooks, and then suddenly R&B kind of evolved into, it has elements of hip hop, a lot of experimental sounds, especially with Frank Ocean, like with the vocals.
Yeah.
And then like it's kind of cool. So it's like Channel Orange, big influence. And fun fact, you know that Channel Orange was produced by a Malaysian.
What?
Yeah, and his name is Malay, but he's a Chinese guy.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, so if you look it up,
Yeah.
and I think
His name is Malay. Is that like a front? It has to be, right?
I don't know. I think it's just a really clever sort
Stage
of
name.
stage. I don't think it's even
It's
a
not
stage name.
even
It's a
stage
moniker.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I've seen like Yuna on her stories have worked with him before.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's a fun
I think it's Malay Ho or something, but like Malay. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what was the other song you wanted to put on the mixtape?
So the other song Channel Orange kind of like, this is before I started making my own music. When I heard Channel Orange, I want to make music like this. Another one was The Weeknd's House of Balloons. Yeah, specifically the song The Morning. When I heard that, I was like, ooh, this one's different. Yeah.
The older album, right?
His first one. So it was.
He had a different sound too than
Correct,
what he sounds like now.
Yeah, and I think that one is one of the most important R&B albums because it kind of became the blueprint for a lot of modern R&B now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even like if you read some interviews, he says it himself. you know, and that's why he didn't want to make another album like House of Balloons.
Like that.
He went through like a different route for the
Yeah.
second album, which didn't do well, and then eventually he pivoted to pop.
Much more pop now.
Yeah,
And now
yeah.
he's kind of got Michael Jackson.
Yeah, now he can do anything he wants.
And
you know?
what's Pharrell's band called? Can't remember now, but they had that kind of
Neptunes.
band. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of vibe. So in a few of your songs, like in Rindu, which you're featured on, and in I Miss You Still, there's this theme of missing, you know.
Yeah.
And how does the act of creating art help you work through those kind of feelings? Because that feeling of
Yeah.
longing for something, it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
hard feeling.
So like I think a lot of my songs are loosely based on my experience. I think
Isn't all art based off of experience?
yeah, I mean that's when like life imitates art, alright?
Yeah.
That's the saying, but yeah, I mean I definitely draw from my own experiences. Like so a lot of my lyrics are almost like diaries. So that's why initially I was very like hesitant to put out, because I think my first song was Passion. That one was a generic like hookup song. Summer
Very
Lover.
passion.
Yeah, Summer Lover with MFM was my first time collaborating with MFM. It was a pop song. The next one, Cloud9, house hookup song, and then it started going into the sad boy phase. And that one was very much like, I think I was going through some stuff, and it's definitely I mean, when I write it, it's very cathartic because almost like letting it out onto a piece of paper first. Because I always, when I go into the studio, I always hum it first. But then when the melody, you can kind of tell, oh, this is kind of like a sad melody. And then I just draw on what I feel at the time. And like, yeah, so a lot of those songs that you mentioned is very much like, it's very loosely based on my life. But it's a lot of it is like very personal as well.
Yeah, but and I think it's always beautiful when I see artists like you know, the experience might have been hard and painful, but you turn it into something beautiful and other people can actually enjoy.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
And speaking of I Miss You Still, since you brought it up, like I remember when I put it out, someone reached out to me on Instagram and told me, it's like, hey, I really relate to this track because I lost my dad, and this song really like kind of helped me. And then I was like, oh, this song has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a song about, I wouldn't say it's a song about loss. It's a song about longing. Right? But then he interpreted it that way. And that's the beautiful part, you know, it's like, I don't really care if my songs like are not really, don't get a million streams or whatever. And like, I'm okay if like 10 people listen to it, but like all 10 of them resonate or relate to it, because then I know that, okay, at least I'm somewhat like connected or being part of their life in a very weird and abstract way.
Yeah. And I think that, like, you know, like if we go back to Frank Ocean, he doesn't give you an explanation of his songs. And that's kind of amazing because like what you said, like that song, it's not about, you know, losing a parent or losing someone in that way, but it impacts someone in that
Correct.
way. It's, if you don't ever kind of put out the story, it can always be open to interpretation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of I mean, I'm not Frank Ocean level, right?
Hey, give
Put it
yourself
on
some
the
credit
table right now.
lah.
It's like Frank Ocean's lyrics are like next level.
It's
right?
poetry.
It's poetry,
Yeah.
and it's poetry one thing, but it's also very personal to him. So it's like you can tell when he wrote it, I'm like, only he understood what happened. You know, what exactly this line means. Like, it doesn't make sense to like the average listener. You know, and like I haven't really gone into that kind of songwriting. I would love to, but at the same time, like I think a lot of my songs are pretty much like very easy to decipher. You know, it's like it's very straightforward.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
But still, different experiences of it.
This thing's gonna be gone very soon, guys.
So when writing in Bahasa, how does the depth of a different language change the way you kind of, or I guess even singing in Bahasa, change the way you make a song?
So I started writing music properly in 2018 and was doing it for 2 to 3 years. And then a lot of people were like, hey, when are you gonna enter the Malay market, right? Or when are you gonna write a Malay song? And just for full disclosure, you know, I had no issue like talking or speaking Malay, but like writing in Malay is a challenge for me, you know, because I'm not like that fully comfortable writing, especially if you want to be a bit sort of like for lyrics, you want it to be a bit clever. You know, you want to like hit it.
You have to have a very strong command of the language.
And like you kind of want to like insinuate certain scenarios or whatever. You know, and then with Malay is a very beautiful language in a sense that some words, you know, you listen to some Malay songs, they're really good melodies, and a lot of it is kind of influenced in the way the language is, right? It's not really, you can't really be that, I mean, you can be cryptic, but like there's just something about the intonation of certain words, it's just nice to say and all that, and like, that was a challenge for me to kind of like write a Malay song. It's really hard, to be honest. So I wrote Rindu in 2020 with MFMF. Initially, I think the plan, I was not even supposed to be on it. It was supposed to be I was supposed to be come on board as a songwriter, but I think they couldn't find anyone else to sing the hook as well as I did. And then I was like, why not? You know?
Yeah.
I wrote it in 2020, and then we knew it was like, I thought it was a banger. I really liked Rindu, and it was kind of shelved for a while. And then suddenly the boys were like, okay, we're gonna release it in 2021, and we're getting a rapper on it. And then they got airlifts on it. And that boy now is like, I am really proud like to see his trajectory.
So well.
Very, very talented, pivoting from rapping to singing like seamlessly, and he killed it in his verse. And then it was just like when I heard his stuff and then like combined with mine, I was like, oh my god, you know, it's like it was a very good mix, you know.
Good synergy there.
Yeah, and now it's like, and I was always very hesitant to perform it. So Sunny Days, I think definitely was the first time. Sunny Day was the first time I think I played it live. I only played it one other time on national TV.
Oh wow.
Or it was we at MFM got an interview and I performed it live. And I don't think I performed it again. And I almost took it out of the set list because I was a bit worried, like, do people like it? But then I think that song got the most reception out of the crowd, you know? So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna perform it every time.
Yeah.
And I hope to write more Malay songs.
Yeah.
You know, if given the opportunity, definitely need help.
So let's talk about your new single, Someone New. Beautiful song, I think both lyrically and even the composition of the music with the beats and everything. So what comes first for you? Lyrics, music,
definitely
bass,
music,
drums?
Definitely music. The irony is, so now we're talking about Someone New, right? So Someone New was something that I wrote coming off a long-term relationship. And I don't mind talking about it now because like,
no,
so
it's
over
okay,
it.
life in a while.
Yeah, and if I think back a few years back leading up to 2018, which is the year that I wrote Someone New, like I was actually struggling to like kind of break into the whole music thing. I was reaching out because I knew I could sing. Probably wasn't a good songwriter back then, you know, and it definitely reflected in the opportunities that I was looking for. You know, I think it was really hard to come by. You know, people were just not interested in working with me. Some people were, and then eventually didn't follow through. So I actually stopped music for at least a year, minimum a year. I think it was like a year and a half. Didn't touch any instruments. I was just like, maybe this is not for me, you know. And then I was just, sometimes I could spend hours in front of the computer, and I was like, I can't write, you know. And then that eventually led to like, instead of an hour, it became 10 minutes, and then eventually months not touching my instruments. And then the whole breakup happened, and then I started picking up the guitar, and it was the fastest song I wrote. I wrote it in 10 minutes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I remember it very vividly. I wrote it, it was a World Cup, and then it was a halftime. Belgium were playing against Japan.
Back in 2018?
Yes.
Yeah.
Belgium were playing against Japan. I still remember, and I was kind of like, I had this riff that I've been playing that I really like, and I was like, okay. Halftime, went to my room, wrote it, and then I just spent 10 minutes, and I wrote pretty much almost the whole song, missing the bridge. And then that's when I was like, oh wow, I think this is the first song that I wrote properly, a full song in a while. And then finished the song, uploaded it on SoundCloud, and then my friend Bill Musa heard it. So it was on SoundCloud. The original format of the song is acoustics, really slow format. Bill heard it, and then we became friends, and then Bill really introduced me to MFMF. So the song helped to kickstart from the death or something, you know, like the
whole
became
trajectory
like
that you're on.
yeah, it's like the music just suddenly had a rebirth, you know, and it was a proper and this and then when that happened, I just didn't look back.
Yeah.
You know, and I just
And
went
maybe
for
you
it.
needed the break.
Probably, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, and it gave me stuff to write about, you know. And then some things happened like after that, and then I used it as inspiration as well. But yeah, I think that's the beautiful part when I think about it. How like, I had to lose something to get a lot back more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was
That's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah, and then Someone New basically is a song about getting closure to move on from something. You know, doesn't need to be a relationship. It could be maybe you have an addiction or like, or maybe it's a loss.
Some kind of loss.
Some kind of loss or whatever. And it's just moving on. So that's why the song transitions from like really dark, Joji vibes, and in the bridge you hear birds chirping. The artwork also is a reflection of that. The artwork has a duality of it because I was watching a lot of Stranger Things. So when I was working with my designer, shout out to Jordan, who also designed Kyoto Protocol's previous artwork.
Which one?
I can't remember which song.
Not Best I Ever Had, right?
No, the one
Prior to
before.
that.
Yeah, the one before that. And then and I talked to him. I was like, I really like this whole Stranger Things concept. Like, can you give me something that's like a reflection of the upside down? So like the artwork is a building, it's the same building, but different context. One of it is like in darkness, the reflection at the bottom, which is the upside down. And then when you move on, you see the sunrise, you see the light, and you see birds. It feels like there's more life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the thinking behind it. So there's a lot. It
much
wasn't random.
intentionality,
So that's why it's like when I shared it to my friend, what do you think about this art? Tell me what you think. It's like, why got random building? Huh? I'm just like, oh my god. Just like,
This is art. Look deeper.
yeah, and then it's like, and you know, sometimes I don't really need to explain why I chose certain artwork. You know, it's just this is more like I treat it as like this is just the whole creative
It's the whole process.
Yeah. So yeah, I really love the artwork, and I think the song was 4 years in the making. Took a long time. 2018 didn't really go into the studio until 2021.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I had other songs coming up, and I was like, this song. So I performed that song acoustically at Madhikaria, Rio, and all that, you know. But then I was like, I don't think this is a song that I wanna write, you know. And then eventually, when I ran out of songs, I was like, I think it's time to, you know, to put this one out. And I didn't know how I wanted it to sound, but I kind of knew what kind of elements should be in it. And yeah, so shout out to Irfan for really helping me like craft the sound of it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. That, you know, you're taking the break and you've done it.
So it is what it is.
Everything happens for a reason, right?
Shout out to, you know, the women who inspire my song.
I think like that's also the thing about
You can
doing.
leave that on as well.
Yeah, we won't cut anything out unless you want us to. But I think that's the thing about art is that you can go out and have all these experiences and then you can make it into something.
Yeah, it's a privilege almost. It's because like, I mean, time.
And to have the talent to do it.
I feel like it can be honed, to be honest. But like,
Don't be humble.
but I do spend a lot of time, like, you know, especially the singing. I spend a lot of time like trying to make sure I sound alright. And like the songwriting is something, like I mentioned just now, back to your question, I always go with a melody. I'm a very bad writer. I'm just gonna, I'm a slow writer, okay? Maybe I'm not a bad writer, but I'm a super slow writer. I'm like, I wish it came more naturally. Like, I work with people like Bill, who, when we wrote Let Me In, like, I had the guitar riff, and I was like, okay, let's go to our own sides of the room, right? And then she came back in 5 minutes, done. Like a whole essay, like done. Like she didn't even change anything. And then I look at my sheet paper. I'm like, you've been on my mind all day. That's it. And I was like, oh my god, you know. And then I was just scrambling to write. And then a lot of things I scribbled eventually became part of the song. But like, yeah, writing is definitely a bit slow.
And everybody's process is different, lah.
Correct, yeah.
Some people it's like they write a lot and then they refine, and some people they slowly.
And like I saw a video of Yuna as well talking about it, and Yuna was saying how like when she goes into some sessions, like you don't need to come up with the words because you kind of waste time if you're trying to find the words initially. So you just hum it first, And then sometimes I work backwards. Like when I end a song with a certain melody, I'm like, I know what word, like that line needs to end, and I kind of work backwards in terms of finding the piece to that puzzle, right? And then the line needs to make sense, lah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And then the challenge is for it to be a cohesive narrative.
Nice. So one of the songs you have in your mix is "Cast Away" by Yuna, which features Tyler, the Creator. So when she put out that album Rogue, the features she had on it, I think, was groundbreaking for us, like as Malaysians, to see an artist from our country have so many features, like G-Eazy, Lil Sims, like it was crazy.
Yeah.
So for yourself, like who would be the ultimate person you'd want to have featured on one of your songs?
To be honest, it'd be Yuna.
Yuna?
Yeah, cause like Yuna is like the
set the standard.
Like the biggest inspiration musically. I think a lot of young musicians that kind of grew up in that era, because she started off playing like acoustic stuff. So when she started playing live, I remember catching her at Urbanscapes years ago at KL Pack, where she was playing the whole acoustic thing before she went to the States. And then like I was there, and then to see her evolve, right? So everyone just kind of followed her music journey, and it's so inspirational because she just went for it, you know. And I think like one thing that's really like her strength is that she adapts to like the different, because music is cyclical, right? And then like you see some artists from way back when they don't make the effort, or maybe that's not the right word, like maybe they're just not inclined to evolve their sound, you know. So like Yuna she became more and more into like modern R&B, and now she's killing it, you know?
She's amazing.
Yeah. So and like I remember when Crush like dropped, and I was like, oh my god, like,
oh my god, I love that song.
Malaysian with Usher,
I know.
Didn't make sense, you know, but it did not look out of place.
No.
You know, she owned it, and then that's why she's like, oh, she can do it, you know, probably other Malaysians can.
Yeah.
And like, and it's interesting to see who's gonna be the next Yuna.
Maybe it's you.
But I don't know, like I don't know if I'm that talented, but like Yuna would definitely be like a dream collab.
So if on one of your songs you were to have her on now, which song would it be?
I don't think, probably it would be more respectful if I jump on hers, right? Like I don't think she want to jump on mine, but like
you never know.
Yeah, that would be a dream. So you know if you're watching. So.
You know if you're watching, come on to see Mixtape and feature on Alex's song.
I'll just share this clip to her. But like yeah, she's nice as well, cause like
she seems like a very genuine person.
Yeah, and like and she's kind of like, I remember when I met her, right? She was like, oh, very kind of had this aura about her, you know. She's done it all.
Magical.
Yeah, and then I remember I was like very intimidated, to be honest. And she's quite like, I mean, at least for me from that experience, it sounded quite like a serious person, you know. And like yeah, that would be the dream collaboration one day, you know, if it happens. We'll see. You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. So my final question, and I've asked this a few times, and everybody's always stumped, and I would think it's my easiest question, but what's your current on repeat song?
Oh wow. Current on repeat song. You know what's the funny thing is that when a lot of musicians will tell you this as well, is that they don't listen to music as much, you know, because you're kind of like, you kind of want to get disconnect from music. But in terms of the song that I was listening to a lot this year is in my playlist. I had to add it in, is a Canon from Fire for You from Cannons, you know. It's so cool. Like, is this band, this rock synth band, I don't know even how to describe it. Got a female vocalist, and I love like, you know, songs with strong female vocalists. And it's like it's this kind of sound that I really like, you know, where it's like the synths in it, you know, and the guitar is like clean, you know, and it's nothing too loud, and it just sounds tight as a band. We have really good bass line. So yeah, Fire for You is like one of my like most repeated songs this year, for
nice.
sure.
All right, well that's it. Thank you so much.
That was quick.
Loved it.
Better days, a better life. Whatever that may be, just promise me don't be looking back anymore.
I needed that.
Yeah?
needed
A little sweet treat afterwards.
Yeah. It's been a long day at work today. It's been a long week.
It's turning me into someone new.